approach Him with simple faith, no formulas, no bar of soap, no getting right, no staying right, no trying to qualify. Be a little kid. And that's what Jesus says in this very passage. Mark chapter 10, Jesus saw this. He was indignant and said to them, "Permit the children to come to me. Do not hinder them, for the kingdom of God belongs to such as these." You think He's saying there's an age limit on the kingdom? No, there's an attitude limit. He's not talking about an age. He's talking about an attitude. He's not talking about how old you are. He's talking about how you approach the kingdom. If you get all high and mighty and think you're doing something for God and think you're something by your reputation or your status or your achievements or how holy you think you are or whatever, you've missed it. This is for little kids. Little kids who have confidence that when they're tossed in the air, Daddy's going to catch them. Little kids who have confidence that when they dive off the side of the pool, there's Mom or Dad ready and waiting. Little kid confidence, simple, not intellectual giants. Sometimes intellectualism actually gets in the way. Do you know that? Because with being smart or being intellectual, there's a certain pride that can come with that. That's why I've often said, as we're studying an issue, if you believe you're an intellectual, please read the verse slower. Because you've been glossing over it for years. It's right there, smack dab in the Bible. It's powerful. It's off the charts. You're forgiven forever, but you haven't seen that. You thought you had to ask. You thought tomorrow's sin wasn't forgiven. Hebrews 10 says it is. You got to read it like a child. You thought you had to die to self. The Bible never says that. You got to approach the book like a child and say, what's in there? What's not in there? I'm a new self. I don't need to die to self. You thought you had to live under part of the law. Maybe you thought you had to tithe 10% to be okay. Little kid cracks open the Bible and says 10%, it's nowhere. It's not in a single letter. John didn't write it. Peter didn't write it. James didn't write it. Paul didn't write it. It's not there. What should I do, Daddy? Oh, look what it says. Give freely from the heart, not under pressure. That's the way I'm going to live, Dad. Thank you. Simplicity. This gospel is simple. It is for kids. And yet we complicate it with intellectual pride. The kingdom of God belongs to such as these. Truly I say to you, whoever does not receive the kingdom of God like a child will not inherit it at all. And so you see the attitude there. I mean, that's the part about entering. You enter by realizing it's got to be Dad. It's got to be what He did. He provided for me. I mean, what did you do to be born? Not much. You showed up and you hoped everything was going to be okay. You didn't even have a to-do list or an agenda. You showed up and you just kind of hoped that it was going to work out. And look, here you are. And so it is with entering into the kingdom of God. And yet we go, I'm going to sustain and I'm going to maintain and I'm going to keep and I'm going to stay pure and I'm going to stay cleansed and I'm going to keep myself saved and I'm going to do my part. I mean, our part is to have confidence in Dad every moment of every day. That's our part, like a child.